Yes.
Yes, sir.
Baba Mufoke.
Salud. Salud with coffee.
Yes.
Latte, smooth, creamy gourmet.
Hey.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you are welcome, my good sir.
I thank you.
Thank you so much for honoring us this season.
Yes, sir.
It's a season of giving, and we're grateful that you're giving us some of your time as we chat about the one thing that stood out for you in Mind Your Mind. And for the benefit of those who are just joining us, my name is Joshua Awesome. Many like to call me the Awesome Coach. And I am humbled and grateful to have with me Thabo Mofokeng here with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my good sir.
Definitely honored to be here.
It is an honor to have you. So tell me, if you were to introduce yourself to those who are watching, how would you introduce yourself?
So this is Thabo Mofokeng, a very simple guy that wants to make an impact, a memorable impact in all the spaces that I occupy. That's it.
Love it. And talking about making an impact, I remember I met you at a summit where you were also one of the keynote speakers.
Yes, sir.
And as I closed the summit as the closing keynote, it was humbling to see you also making a difference in the life of a young person by sponsoring a copy of Mind Your Mind. We are deeply grateful for that, sir.
It was important.
Yes. So let's take a moment now. I see you're also having, the latte. So this podcast is sponsored and supported by my friends here at Organo. Organo Gold is a 15-year-old well-being brand, okay, that takes the treasures of the earth to the people of the world. And the secret to their product line is Ganoderma lucidum, which is referred to as the king of herbs. And I'm grateful for their kind support. And starting to my left is their green tea that is also infused with Ganoderma lucidum. The red tea, which I love and I had this morning alongside the king of coffee. And it's called King, for a purpose. And then the Royal Black is a fusion of Ganoderma lucidum and Royal Mane. And the black is black.
Yes.
Black and strong.
Absolutely.
For those who like their coffee black.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, I talked about the King. The hot chocolate is also infused with Ganoderma lucidum. Then the mocha, the latte, which is the one we are having,
Very nice.
and the Supreme. It's called Supreme on purpose. It's a fusion of Ganoderma lucidum, ginseng, and maca powder. So let's talk about your perspective on Mind Your Mind, how to stress less and achieve more. Of course, we're in a season where there's a lot of, burnout happening. People are having what we coaching psychologists call seasonal affective disorder for some. And I just wanted to chat with you about, managing ourselves this season, but also from the perspective of a person who has a copy of Mind Your Mind, How to Stress Less and Achieve More. Over to you, sir.
So let's start with the word mind, right? So we think mind and we automatically think brain. But what we don't realize is that mind is to take care of. So that's already telling you something. Without, you play with the words and you're saying mind, your mind. So if you have to replace the first mind and use a sentence, you say take care of your mind.
I like.
Now, why would anyone be bothered to take care of your mind? Well, let's think about a few things. anything that you do on a daily basis, and I'm no doctor, right? But anything that you do on a daily basis, outside of you taking a breath and breathing out, etc., everything has to happen in the mind, right? When you're driving, you have to have a conscious mind. When you are actually on your desktop doing your work, you have to have a mind. So already that is telling you a very powerful message when you're talking about minding your mind, taking care of your mind. A lot of things happen in the taking care of the mind, whether you're nourishing it, whether you are, investing in, having a proper well-being, etc. So when we start there, so we then go to a place that speaks about burnout, and we're not going to reference any chapters, for example, but here's the thing. You started off by the burnout. We're at the point of the year that people have to take a break. They've got burnout, but burnout happens in many parts of the year. And I thought about it from a personal perspective. What does that burnout mean, right? Burnout means that your mind has been overworked, and it has not had periods of taking a break. But imagine this, I'm just thinking, right? If you have periodic moments throughout the year where your mind is taking a break or is conditioned, is minded to operate at a level where by the time you get to December, it's just another month. Why should December be the month that, well, in the African context, we take a break? I think Europe and America, that's when they're pumping iron, this period, right? They don't understand. You Africans, you are on a break here. You can't get anyone. You're sending emails. People are coming back with emails in January or somewhere mid-Jan. They pushing. So I think that, so I'm energized this period of the year. I mean, I just came out of a meeting before coming here, back to back, etc. Why? Because I'm still energized in my mind. My mind is not switched to the point that, geez, this is a switch off zone. When everyone is switching off, I told you last time that my quarter in my space, just my space alone, starts in November, 1st of November. My quarter one of 2024 starts. So when everyone is blowing balloons and firecrackers on the 31st of December, guess what I'm at? I'm 2 months in 2024 already. I wake up on the 1st of January and say, oh, you're here. I've been in 2024.
Amazing, I like that. And talking about being there, it reminds me of a very interesting, conversation that I always bring into the works. I had the privilege to be mentoring someone who is based out of Australia. And because they're ahead of the world from a calendar perspective, when he actually gets into the new year, we are still in the old year. And once I remember a story while I was trying to check in, and he's like, hey, awesome coach, we are already in 2024. In other words, I am connecting with you from tomorrow.
Yes.
And it looks all right here.
And
that's the mindset that I kind of like, the way you phrased it just now, where we are recognizing that it'll be okay if we give that okay support to our inner landscape. And it leads me to a quote I'd like to read from chapter 14 of Mind Your Mind. It says, we are not thinking machines that feel. Rather, we are feeling machines that think. Says Daniel Kahneman. And that's chapter 14. Talking about from low rung thinkers to critical thinkers. How to navigate the emotional landscape of our minds.
Powerful. Very important. And because we are machines that think, we're not AI. We're not going to launch a word latte and suddenly an essay just miraculously emerges, and somebody calls a call center and you had a rather interesting night of other beverages that are fermented, not these ones. You wake up and somebody is calling and wants, where's my car? Insurance, my car's got stolen. I mean, the person on the other side. So we're not conditioned like machines, right? And I think where does that start? Your thinking, your thought process. And I think what's important about the idea of thinking, in my mind, going back a little bit around, minding your mind is, and what I take off, from what we discussed, in the conference where we had met was, if I may, just give that analogy very quickly of how, I don't know if he was a monk or he was just a guy who was in meditation, but it looked like it was a guy in meditation who had this fly, and, very precision with his samurai sword, slashes in the middle and it multiplies. All he just wanted to do was just focus on a particular spot. But suddenly when he, locked his eyes into a particular image, even if the room was now multiplied with, it looked like it was 100 flies or something like that, suddenly he didn't start hearing the flies, but the fly noise then suddenly became the noise of the leaves or the breeze, right? Why? Because the mind was focused, right? And so that is something that becomes a very important theme in terms of, the channeling of your thoughts,
right,
in that particular statement.
And I like what you've just highlighted, by the way, for those who are watching and are wondering what he's talking about. So during the summit where we both met, and he was one of the keynote speakers and I was closing keynote, I opened my keynote with a short video titled The Fly, and you can go Google it and find it and watch it. And the reason why I use that is to draw our attention to attention.
At school they said pay attention, and I used to say it's so expensive.
And the reason is because our emotions play a crucial role in shaping our thoughts and our beliefs. And by the way, that's from chapter 14, what I've just read. And it's important to acknowledge this when trying to encourage people to climb the ladder of what we call cognitive development. In other words, mind your mind is intentionally wanting to draw your attention with intention.
Meaning focus.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes. So in one word, we are saying focus your focus. For that to happen, there needs to be intentionality.
Yes.
And that's where that whole fly story comes through. And many times, particularly in the season that we're in, people are experiencing what I said earlier, seasonal affective disorder.
Yes.
Where because of things that you want, or things that you are not having yet, the season affects you. And it affects you so badly because you are not minding your mind. And then it transitions to become a disorder. If you look at that acronym, it's actually SAD. Seasonal affective disorder.
Sad.
And it's feeding on the emotions that is catalyzing that whole feel tone.
Yes.
Which is why I'd like to repeat that quote in chapter 14. We are not, ladies and gentlemen, we are not thinking machines that feel. Rather, we are feeling machines that think. Many people are not allowing themselves to feel. So what are you feeling right now as we're having this conversation? Whatever it is, feel it.
Yeah.
I always like to say that feeling is the secret.
Oh.
Notice how you feel. So for example, we're having this latte from Organo, and when you tasted it, the first thing was, what did you say?
Hey man, the smooth thing.
Those words, it was smooth. In other words, you had tasted it.
Exactly.
For you to have been able to notice it. Many times people don't taste their food.
That's like not feeling.
And if you don't taste your food, you do not savor it. If you don't savor it, you cannot enjoy it. So this season, feel into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel the season. Even if it's just having a candle in your house. Invest in a scented candle.
Yeah.
You know, and this is very affordable. I'm sure if you walk into a store, you can find one.
You will. You will.
And it doesn't have to be something so big and you know, outlandish, if I may use that expression.
Yeah.
Simplicity, minimalistic, where you are not overdoing it. So for example, you are not able to travel outside the country.
Yeah.
Drive to the next city.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you are not able to drive to the next city. Go somewhere you haven't been within the city that you live in.
We're in the same note.
Yes. And just enjoy it. Feel into it. Celebrate yourself. You may say, okay, I want something very fancy. Well, if you can't have that, buy something simple for yourself. Could be a box of, you know, Organo.
Let me tell you a story. So about the feeling, right?
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, well, many years ago actually, I was still a youngster. You know, my grandfather and grandmother.
You look very young.
Actually, I feel young. I feel young. Now that we're talking about the feel, I feel young. And I you know, I was probably like 10, 11, somewhere there. So got my grandfather down in Cape Town from my mom's side, and my grandmother that side in Cape Town, in a township called Kwalanga. Now that day still stays with me like all these years later, right? So we just went to a place called Mowbray. In Mowbray, by the taxi rank or the bus terminus, there was a fish and chips joint, right? And but not the chips from these restaurants that we know. Slab chips that is wrapped in paper, nothing cosmetic, nothing fancy, no, you know, chandeliers or anything like that. You walk into the shop and it's just look, you know, basic, right? But you can see this establishment has been around for a minute. So going back to the field, then we live in the Peugeot. It was a station wagon, 506, I think it was, or 46, 506 or 46.
Wow.
Those old station wagon Peugeots. Remember the feeling now. That's going back to the feeling. And on the way back to Mowbray, there's as you get onto the highway, right? There's like there's an off ramp that curves around, you know? And then there's like a field of grass. Did the old man not just pull over by that field of grass? And did we not have a picnic right there by the highway, next to the field of grass? And we opened up the fish and chips. We put our tomato sauces and salt and all of that jazz. And that was just nice feeling, right? To your point. So it felt great. You tasted every texture in that fish, in those slab chips, etc. It was non-complicated. Langa was just up the road, but we just went to the burbs, a couple of kilometers away, came back and we had a picnic by the highway.
Wow!
Simplicity. What did it cost us? A couple of liters in petrol and you know, some Coke and chips. Thanks for coming. Done.
Amazing.
But that experience, that feeling still comes back to me, and I still go back to that fish and chips joint. I think they're still around.
How profound.
right?
You see, as you share that story,
Yep.
it is a very, what I call a lived experience,
It's a lived experience.
of what it really means to feel into something.
Absolutely.
Which leads me to the actionable advice in Mind Your Mind chapter 14 that we are focusing on. It says, recognize the role of emotions in your thinking. As Cunningham said, we are feeling machines that think.
Yes.
So as we were talking about feeling now, you began to think about the feel tone that emerged back then.
Absolutely.
And it got you thinking, which, then moves me to the next piece of the actionable activity. It says, emotions play a crucial role in shaping our thoughts and our beliefs. So you believe that that place is a great place to get that whole meal again. And like you said, you've been going back there. What does it cost you to feel? Your involvement. And when you are involved, some way, somehow, it inspires you. And which is something that I believe my life mission has been all about the last 24 plus years. My life mission is to inspire, to inform, so people can get involved in life. And just to wrap it up, the end of that actionable activity says it's essential to acknowledge and understand our emotions and their impact on our thinking. When we recognize our emotions, we can use them to inform our thinking positively. In other words, there's a recognizing that needs to happen. So encourage individuals to pay attention to their feelings and how they are impacting their thoughts and beliefs. Why? Because this approach can help them become aware of their emotional triggers and how to manage them better.
How to manage them better, because you see, I believe that the feelings, they do, and it's okay to feel, right? It's important to feel, but your feelings invoke the emotion, positive, negative, otherwise neutral, and so that's why at times you must recognize this feeling. If you haven't tasted, that archer that has got bars, or that chili sauce rather that has got the bars, no? And you just find a sauce, you don't know what those bars mean, right? If you have not felt the one that is sitting at 10 before, and because you so happen to be a chili sauce master, you just arrive as a steering, you open this thing, and you just go all over your food. It's like, hey, my tongue can handle anything, right? And you take that first bite, and it takes your mind somewhere else, and your ears start sweating, and your nose things start coming out of your body which you never thought could even come out. Tears start coming out, and people are asking, why are you crying? No, I'm okay. You thought you know how this thing feels, but you didn't. But now, I just want to go back a little bit. I can't digress, but I'm saying that what you feel has then got context, right? So you know what the 10 means, and you know what the 2 bar means if you know a chili sauce. So if you feel that, like this situation has angered me, if you have not developed an ability to manage how then the next part is, which is your emotional reaction, in a situation, you may then blurt out certain things, and you may react in an unpleasant manner. Sometimes you feel excited and emotion comes out, and you blurt out exciting things. Oh, I'm gonna inject 1 million rands. Because at that moment you felt excited, right? this presentation invoked certain things, and suddenly you've committed. You go look at the bank account, and there's only 1.1 million left. So your emotions then must be controlled, whether positive or negative, in terms of the feeling. And I think that is something that is quite tricky, not tricky, but tough to manage. Let me put it that way. And if you don't manage how you feel, and then how that translates to your emotions, and how your emotions translates to how you react, you could find yourself in compromised places.
What you've just explained is actually pulling me to the next actionable activity of chapter 14. And it is titled Develop Critical Thinking Skills. And it says critical thinking skills are necessary to help people climb the ladder of cognitive development. It further says, by teaching individuals to question their assumptions. Evaluate evidence. Because as you are talking about the filter and the bars. Evaluate it. And consider alternative perspectives. They can start to think more objectively and logically.
Yes, sir.
In other words, encourage individuals to practice these skills in their daily lives by seeking out different viewpoints, questioning their beliefs, and analyzing information critically. And I like, the example you just gave, and without you knowing that I was going to talk about developing critical skills. And it's important for you who's watching. What critical skills do you need to develop for your good as you move into the next year? What emotions do you need to recognize?
Absolutely.
Because these are very key. Because if you keep doing what you've done, you keep getting the result you've gotten. There is a saying, Iyag, yiwag, wiyag, yag. It simply means if you keep doing it the way you've done it, you keep getting the result you've gotten.
Yes.
And that's why we started this last podcast for the year differently. Where, we walked into the conversation with our coffee in our hands. Because we wanted to help our viewers and our listeners to feel and notice how it's important to journey into
insanity. Insanity is a state of mind. You see how we come back to the mind again? Insanity is the state of mind. But what gives rise to that insanity? Doing the same thing again and again and being surprised when the result doesn't change. Being surprised, you are shocked.
Profound.
Why are you shocked?
Profound.
I'm borrowing from it might have been an Einstein who might have said that, but they say something along those lines as well. Which is very close to or exact to what you've just said. Now you see, how do you expect the same result? You want a different result rather. You are moving the cup. You are actually putting the cup here, you're dropping it. Gravity does what gravity does. Gravity does what gravity does. You want to have a conversation with gravity? This thing keeps falling. Okay, fine, well, shift it here then. Don't shift it all the way to the edge, it won't fall. Doing something different. Change your perspective, change your approach, right? So very important thing there,
And as we begin to close